Hey everyone. So I've done a lot of fasting. I thought I'd make this video to try and explain which one I think was the best for my health. So there was the initial 80-day fast that I done, which was more of a solid food vacation than a fast. It was just cancelling out any solid foods. I was still eating soup. I was still eating smoothies that had things in it like olives and peppers. I was trying to make like savory smoothies that tasted like pizza and things like that to try and make it easier to do the fast. In the end, I noticed that these things were just giving me heartburn, so I cut them out altogether. I went 78 days on that fast because I was going until I stopped dropping solids. And it took 78 days. So that was one of the greatest fasts, just going the distance and clearing out my digestive tract. But that wasn't the best fast. I did 6 days of water fasting, which was pretty good. It brought me a lot of pain towards the end. I realized there's a lot of further water fasting that I need to do in order to get my body into a state of autophagy, try and break down whatever it is that's not performing properly, break it down and recycle it. So that's something to look forward to in the future. That wasn't the best fast. I did sunrise to sunset fasting for Ramadan, which was a very good fast because on top of not having anything to eat or drink within those hours, you also need to watch what you say. Try not to swear. Try not to talk about people behind their backs. Try not to gossip. Try to stay away from music because that would pull your mind out of the frequency that you need to be in. You're trying to establish a connection with God, with Allah. You're trying to be present, and the music would act as a distraction. So that fast had a lot of benefits, but that wasn't the best fast that I've done. I do a fast for Lent every year, which is 46 days of. So it's usually to just give something up. Like for children, they would give up sugar or something like that for 40 days, and you have Sundays off, so you're able to go back to it on Sundays. What I tend to do is I'll do a juice fast, and on the weekends we can eat solid fruit or basic salad, which is just fruit like avocado, cucumber, and tomato with salad leaves. So that is a very good yearly clear out, but that isn't the best fast. There's been abstaining from things, abstaining from sexual relations and ejaculations. That has done my health a world of good. Something that you can feel the health benefits from, and it's easy to make the decision of which version of yourself you prefer, the one that's always behind on energy and playing catch up, and the one that's always brimming with this energy that is not being wasted. It was quite easy to make that choice, but even that is not the best fast. Dopamine fasting. I went 6 days without smoking cannabis over a water fast and 9 days through Navaratri. I think it was 10 days in the end of not smoking cannabis and trying to avoid doing other things which are for a short term dopamine hit, which did have a lot of mental clarity, health boost. Like, I'd not felt that level of clear minded for a long time. That's something that I still so with the idea now. I think I'm ready to walk away from that. I don't see it as an addiction anymore. I've seen how easy it is to go without and how good the benefits are when you do. But the ultimate best fast that I did since the start, that gave me the access to doing everything else, the one that really gave me that first big step towards recovery, was a social media fast. almost 4 years ago now, I switched off from going on Facebook every day and going on Twitter every day, and actually being more concerned than I needed to be with what other people's opinions of me would be. The amount of times that I started doing posts and I had this clever idea in mind, what was going to be a way of stimulating thoughts, getting other people to go grab something quickly that would be a fact check, that would then be a logical fallacy, to the point where people would have to reassess their understanding of it. The amount of times that I went on Facebook and Twitter and made posts that I thought would be provocative, that would get people to go and look things up in order to debunk or disprove something, just as a way of getting them to have a look at the information. Because I felt that people were to look at the information for themselves, it wouldn't be long before the penny drops and they realize, hang on, this isn't right. But I had that hopeless optimism, like those people that stand outside McDonald's showing you pictures of animals suffering. It's like your heart is there, but your head is not. This is not going to work. This is not the way. That level of provoking is just going to get more people in your face, staring you out as they eat a chicken wing. So luckily, I got into veganism away from all of the activism. I found it a lot easier to get on with when it wasn't being pushed in your face. And I was becoming a very toxic person through using social media. I was doing a lot of posts that were just pushing things in people's faces, a lot of unpleasant images. And it's not really down to me to try and push my will on everyone else. That's something that you believe at the time you're helping people, and that surely once they see what's going on and it sinks in, then they'll be on the same path as you, because you were just as fooled by the whole situation, just as disgusted when you had that moment where the penny dropped. You assume it's going to be the same for everyone else, but it isn't. And the amount of times I've been on Facebook, especially, started making a post and then had all of these voices in my head of all of the different types of people that I knew and the way that they would react to the thing. And you don't realize how much your opinion becomes based on what other people think of you. And I grew up from a young age really not caring what people thought of me. I grew up from the jackass age where a lot of people were doing extreme things to be different from the norm. And you don't realize how much you have already been bent, shaped, and molded into a version of you that fits everybody else's um, idea of what's socially acceptable. It's like we slowly moved into a social credit scoring system in the court of people's minds. So even though the system wasn't set up in place, you would lose a lot of respect from people if you went against anything that was in the mainstream agenda at the time. And I understand exactly what people thought of me, because it was the same level of respect that I had lost for them as I felt that they must have lost for me, hearing me come out with things that was contradicting what they were coming out with. And it feels like everybody was so concerned with making sure that they align with what everyone else is saying. When you step away from it and you can really see what's going on, it starts to make sense then. Everyone put in a certain flag in their profile picture, or I stand with dot dot dot. There's always going to be some kind of polarizing groups. You're not going to know whether or not you're on the right side if you only listen to one side of the propaganda. Like at one point when everyone was taking the knee, and that all spawned off of a man who held a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach while she was being robbed. And it's very bizarre what people will join in with when they're caught in this mindset, this hive mind mentality. Like, I believe that we are all one consciousness experiencing itself, but I think it's very important to have people that are sovereign, that are walking about with a free mind. As if all you're going to do is be an NPC as part of a Borg-like hive mind, then is there any point in you having your individuality? Your individuality is a gift from God. We are many different aspects of the one. And that does include even the ones that decide that they want to be part of the Borg mind. But any entity that decides they want to be a part of that is surely relinquishing their individuality. And that was the biggest thing that I gained from doing a social media fast. I gained back my individuality. And that helps because even though you might feel low at the time, that what you're building on is a strong enough foundation that once you're happy with what you've done, you're happy with something that you've done from scratch, and you haven't relied on anyone else to tell you how it should be. It's like when the apprentice finally breaks away from the master and the other elder apprentices that come along and try and offer their 2 cents. And the apprentice builds something on his own to have that recognition as he looks back on his work. So yeah, I'm actually quite proud of what I've done there. And I've done it without help, or without being told how it should be done from people that aren't really trying to help as much as they're trying to show off what it is that they're doing. So yeah, above all other fasts, if I could recommend one fast that might help you on a better path, instead of abstaining from food, porn, drugs, even caffeine, which is a drug, the best thing that you can do is a social media fast. Get the narrative out of your head. Better yet, if you can extend that to not watching or reading the news. I mean, keep up with things to an extent. It might be worth still keeping an ear to it. Catch up on any big things that are going on, but don't spend too much time focusing on it. That's instead time that could be better spent in meditation. Sit there, clear your mind in stillness and silence. Because once you find that inner peace, the rest comes easy. A lot of your problems go away once you stop thinking or stop overthinking them. And the best way to stop overthinking is to remove that narrative. So yeah, social media fasting all the way. Definitely number one. It's helped me the most on my journey. And I imagine it'll help the world. These sites are nowhere near as good as they used to be. Gone are the times of the MySpace days. Everyone gets their own little bit of space that they can decorate and then show off to people. Nah. Nowadays it's all about data analytics, marketing research, how many pages you like of different types, give the algorithms a chance to document you as a person, have all of your information attached, and know exactly what kind of adverts will sucker you into buying things. And you've probably given them permission in the terms and conditions. I'm not sure how much of them you read, but it's usually always there. They have a rule, see, they need to tell you what they're doing. Otherwise, if they're doing it behind your back and you're unaware, then they could be liable for tricking you. Whereas if they've given you the opportunity to read some small print and you've decided not to, I'm afraid that's on you. If anyone's looking at having a better life, having a better time of things, I definitely would advise coming away from the thing that makes us go back and seek validation. We go back and check if we got a few likes. Oh, did someone share it? Like, I don't even bother myself with that for YouTube. Like, views don't really matter. The fact that it's getting some views, I'm happy with that. The fact that I'm getting people coming back and watching regularly, that I'm overjoyed with. That says that there are people out there that believe what I have to say is worth listening to. But in terms of how much something gets shared or how popular something will make me, I'm not fussed at all. I'm happy with people going out and sharing this information and keeping my name out of it altogether. The information is what's important to me. It helped my life. And if I hadn't seen other people talking about it in the first place, I may never have gone down those paths. That's just my way of paying it forward, making sure that it's out there, leaving myself open to ridicule. I'm using my real face. This isn't AI. Like, people have got a problem with what I'm saying. I'm sure they'll find a way of sending me some hate mail, possibly even doxing my address, finding out where I live, all sorts of madness. But regardless, if the message is getting out there and other people are hearing it, and anything that I talk about has managed to help someone else, then it's all been worth it. You know what they say, even if you just help one person, then you should have really put more effort. And, if you only help one person, that's still one more person than would have if you had done nothing. That's where I am in life right now. In terms of other types of fasting, I think that the best way to do it is to start slowly and see how many hours you can go without something before you go back to it. And the more you manage to do that, the more your mind starts to assess how you felt within those hours. Like, for giving up caffeine, you probably have to give it a couple of days, as you get caffeine withdrawals after the first 24 to 36 hours, and you get a really bad headache. So your conclusion would be, I go without coffee for a day, I suffer a headache. I have coffee, I don't suffer. And food, there can be a lot of pains if you're doing juice fasting. It does force a really fast detox. Fruit does not like sharing your stomach with any other foods. It's a very jealous food type. It will completely clear out anything in your system that isn't fruit. Sometimes this can feel rather unpleasant. So that method doesn't quite work with everything. But taking it slow and reminding yourself that this isn't forever. This is just an endurance test. see what you're capable of, learn what you feel that you need and what you actually need. So generally two different things. The people that run around trying to make sure they're full up on earthly nourishment usually forget about spiritual nourishment. Those that are always looking for the physical rewards end up missing out on a lot of the spiritual rewards. But I don't even think you're able to see things like that until you pull your head away from the hive mind narrative. Once you're no longer concerned with fitting in or being the type of person that other people think is socially acceptable, you become a lot freer. Things will be a lot easier to understand without other people shaping your world for you. It's better to become master of your own destiny than a slave in someone else's. Yeah, this is quite a long video, actually, for a little morning chat. I think I'll end it here. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.